The Kings will host the 9-10 play-in game on Wednesday against the Dallas Mavericks as they beat the Suns. The Mavericks also lost. So either way, they would have been hosting. They get the job done. Game 82 of the NBA season can sometimes be very interesting. Kind of interesting in the way that it can be so uninteresting. Every team putting out these random lineups, not playing their guys. Some teams playing for something that's meaningful, and the Kings were one of those teams. So I have the Kings starting lineup going against the Suns not starting lineup. And I know there's some talk amongst the Kings fan base, oh, it would be better if we just lost this game and better if the Mavs won, so then we keep our pick and all that. And I get it, I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan, I'm not. But I think just for me, when the Kings have a chance here to go out, all out, win this game, and be able to host a postseason game. That's what you got to do. And of course, the players are going to go out and do that because there is something Kenny Beecham said a while ago where he was like, why do we as fans know all this stuff about the salary cap and things like that? And sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's just about this season being able to win this game in front of the home crowd, being able to play another meaningful game in front of the home crowd on Wednesday. And the players were going to go out there and try to win this game because right now it's this season that matters. Who cares about the pick right now? In my life, I've only been able to see 4 postseason games in Sacramento, be hosted in Sacramento. Now, I understand the play-in is not the playoffs, but it is a postseason game, and it is a meaningful game. And last season, when the Kings were able to play a postseason game at home against the Warriors and win that game, that was a fun experience. And I feel like the play-in game can be one of those times where it doesn't have to be all about winning a championship. We can have fun and enjoy this team. And now we get to host a play-in game against the Mavericks and hopefully come away with a win. In the Kings' path to the playoffs, it's very possible. The Kings definitely can beat the Mavericks at home. And then whoever they play in that next game, maybe it's the Grizzlies. That's another very winnable game. So the path to the playoffs is still very much there, even though it's been an interesting season, to say the least. I'm not going to preview that play-in game yet. I will be doing that separately from this, so my usual preview of the next game is not going to happen. So we can just go through this game pretty quickly. I mean, it was a competitive game through 2.5 quarters. Then the Kings closed the third quarter strong, and they were able to see, hey, the Mavericks are losing. We don't need to really win this game, so they played the reserves the rest of the way. But it was competitive in the first half, and the game was dominated by our 2 big men, Domantas Sabonis and Jonas Valanciunas, both getting double-doubles, both scoring over 20 points. And this is exactly what we wanted to see. And it's good to see both of those guys playing well. Obviously, it's good to see Sabonis playing well, but Valanciunas, he could be very important against a Mavericks team that plays 3 big guys in Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively. We didn't see any of the double bigs in this game because the Suns were not playing big at all. I do wonder if we will see the double bigs against the Mavs, but we just saw them both be able to dominate the offensive glass, and we saw Sabonis be able to hit 4 out of 4 3-pointers. Early on in that first quarter, he hit 2 threes, then he hit a mid-ranger, and it's a great time for Sabonis to be able to find his jump shot again because he was shooting so well for most of the season. Then he had those injuries, and during the injury-ridden times, he lost that jumper a bit. It wasn't going down. It wasn't as consistent, and he wasn't getting as many shots up. And so in the last game, he was knocking down his jumpers. In this game, he was knocking down his jumpers, and that's extremely important. And then the other guy carrying the offense in the early going was Zach LaVine. He hit 2 threes. He had 10 points. He had 10 points early. Sabonis had 8 points. It was 18-9. They were the only 2 guys that were scoring. So offensively, that was great. Sabonis and LaVine dominating. Defensively, it wasn't going great. I didn't like the Kings' defense. They were leaving the corners so wide open. We went under screens and let them get easy 3-point shots. I think Keegan went under a 3 on Colin Gillespie, which we did like 3 times throughout this game, allowing him to hit 3 threes. But the Kings just weren't able to close out to the corners well. They were letting the Suns get penetration too easily, which sucked in the defense. But they weren't forcing the Suns to finish over anybody. They weren't finishing the Suns to shoot in the mid-range at all. it was really all just getting open 3-point shots off these driving kick opportunities. And when Valanciunas came into the game, they really started to exploit the pick and roll, and they started to get easy layups. They were throwing up lobs to Osa Ighodaro, and Valanciunas also had 2 turnovers trying to run the offense out of the high post. So it was going extremely poorly in that first stint for Valanciunas, but the Kings called the timeout after the Suns went on a run. And after that timeout is when Valanciunas really started to dominate. He got a putback and one, got an easy look inside off a Devin Carter feed, hit a mid-ranger, got another putback and one. He was super, super dominant. And the other interesting thing we saw a lot of Devin Carter and Devin Carter and Keon Ellis on the floor together. And I loved when those two are on the floor together. Defensively, we saw Keon Ellis get a steal and he blocked a corner 3 in the first quarter. Those two guys together defensively were very good. And the offense was just all centered around Valanciunas. And so it was a very good end to the quarter because the defense got much better. They weren't allowing these wide open 3-point looks, especially from the corners. Keon Ellis and Devin Carter out there together, very good. And then Valanciunas carrying the offense. In the moments where Valanciunas wasn't scoring, the offense at times looked a little shaky. Devin Carter had a lot of time handling the ball in this one. And he made a couple of nice plays, but then there were also a lot of plays where he would get caught just dribbling too much, dribbling around. The Suns were able to go under screens on him. He was hesitant to shoot. He would drive inside, pick up his dribble, have to pass it back out. And so I think these are just very important learning experiences for him. Like, I was very happy to see how much he was handling the ball because this is how he's going to improve. Getting these reps of handling the ball, figuring things out, trying to run this pick and roll with Valanciunas. And there were some good moments where he was able to find Valanciunas underneath for an easy one. He had another opportunity, I think, in the second quarter where he was able to get to the rim and he just missed the finish. So these reps are very important to him. And then the other guy that I wanted to see more from was Keegan because, again, we have Devin Carter kind of dribbling around. Keegan needs to get on the ball a little more, I think, in those situations. I wanted to see him get some on-ball reps. Felt like there were moments where he could have started attacking. He missed a couple threes where he was on the move, movement, 3-point shots, drifting. But it felt like there were a couple moments where he could have been more aggressive and taken some of the offense in a lineup where there was room for somebody to take more shots and take more initiative. And so to start the second quarter, that's really what I wanted Keegan to do, but he shot another movement 3. But then the next possession, he comes around a Valanciunas dribble handoff. And Valanciunas, he was wide open for 3. He was on fire. I thought he was going to take it because he had just gotten a putback. I thought he was going to take the 3, but he passed it up, hands it off to Keegan. Keegan comes around and goes to the floater and knocks that down. So that was what I wanted to see because he was struggling from 3, not knocking them down. So I wanted to see him get going to the rim, but that was really all we saw from him was that floater. But it's those moments where he does come around and he's shown that he has the floater in his bag. So those times where we do see him be able to score are the times that really make me want to see even more of it. But the defense to start the second quarter wasn't great. Again, we were allowing too many corner 3s, too many easy buckets, and we started to allow some easy buckets at the rim off of some cuts. And so while we always held the lead, we just couldn't create that separation that it felt like we should have created because the defense was just not locked in enough against a Suns team that you should be able to defend. But it was Tyus Jones, it was Grayson Allen getting downhill, finishing at the rim, and also knocking down their 3s. Sabonis came back in. He picked up where Valanciunas left off, grabbed 2 offensive boards, scored off of both of those offensive rebounds. On the other side, Royce O'Neal just started to chuck away from 3. What did he end this game? Let's see. He went 1 for 8 from 3. So he had a few misses in a row, and the Kings started to go on a run. Keon hit a 3 off of a Sabonis feed. Sabonis got inside, kicked out. Then Keon gets a steal, gets the ball to Sabonis again, who drives inside, kicks it out to Devin Carter for 3 in transition. And that was the exact sequence of events the Kings needed to create some separation. That put them up 12, some defense to offense, getting the ball inside to Sabonis and allowing him to kick out and create. And so I was hoping that when they got up 12 there, that was kind of going to be the moment where the Kings really pulled away and put this game away. But it wasn't. The Kings kind of took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Grayson Allen was very good, but he was just getting easy offense coming around screens. And so the Kings just had to be able to handle those screen coverages better. They started getting lobs over and over again, easy looks at the rim, went under on another Colin Gillespie screen, and he knocked down a three. And offensively, it slowed down a little bit. Zach LaVine, after a very good start, we had 10 points, really didn't get involved again in that first half. The offense just slowed down. We had to go to DeMar for bailouts. I just needed to see Zach LaVine get a little more movement off the ball, be a little more demanding of the ball. You could see times where Sabonis wanted to get the ball to LaVine, and he just wasn't quick enough and decisive enough in his movements off the ball. DeMar made some nice passes, but the offense with him operating out of the mid-post isn't as effective, especially when Sabonis is in the game. That's not offense that I love to see. When Sabonis is out of the game, it becomes a little more bearable, because where else are we going to get offense from? But when Sabonis is in the game, when LaVine's in the game, I don't need to see DeMar getting the ball in the mid-post every possession. But he started to get the ball. He just started to get these grenades handed to him. And so that wasn't his fault at all. We just needed to get back to the movement that we saw early on in the game, the free-flowing offense. And so at halftime, the Kings were up 3. But, it was a little disappointing because they had a 12-point lead. They let the Suns back into it. They didn't go for the kill shot. The Suns took 24 threes in that first half, hit 9 of them, but 24 of their 40 shot attempts were from 3. And so the Kings needed to guard the three-point line better. And they only had 6 turnovers. The Kings had 7 turnovers. Suns were winning the points in the paint battle by 8. 0 fast break points for the Kings. For a team without Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, they needed to do a better job of forcing the Suns into turnovers, getting out in transition. They were taking advantage of Nick Richards not playing because they were dominating second chance points 12-4 at that point. And so in the second half, the defense did ramp up a little bit. They allowed easy looks every now and then, like the first play of the half was just an easy layup on a miscommunication. So I was like, here we go again. But the defense definitely picked up. A lot more deflections. They forced 3 early turnovers, and most of these turnovers that they forced led to easy buckets in transition. It wasn't just the Suns throwing the ball away out of bounds. That happened quite a few times in the first half, and that's great, forcing them to throw it out of bounds. But they were getting these steals and being able to run the other way, score on the fast break. We saw a little bit more hustle. Keon and Keegan both hustled for rebounds that led to easy buckets in transition. And Keegan, he was struggling to score outside of open dunks, but he had one really nice play in transition where he just put his shoulder into Grayson Allen, moved him out of the way for an easy layup. LaVine hit 2 straight threes coming off Sabonis screens. That's what we love to see. More of Sabonis getting the ball, handing it off to LaVine, screening for LaVine, and the Kings were able to go up 11. Phoenix called the timeout. So it was another moment, just like when the Kings had gone up 12 in the first half. It's like, how are you going to respond after this timeout? Are you going to take your foot off the gas pedal again? Or are you going to go for the kill shot? And, they definitely didn't go for the kill shot. Phoenix got 4 pretty good looks from 3 after that timeout. They only made one of them, so we kind of got bailed out. But again, the offense slowed down. They weren't getting downhill. They started settling for jumpers again. Again, you get bailed out by Sabonis going 4 for 4 from 3. But then Ryan Dunn hits a 3. Tyce Jones hits a 3. And the Kings have to take a timeout. So he took the foot off the gas pedal. And the unit that really ended this game and was able to get the stops necessary was a unit of Keon Ellis, Devin Carter, Doug McDermott, Trey Lyles, and Jonas Valanciunas. The Suns scored their 75th point of the game at the 3-minute mark of that third quarter. And then that unit that I talked about held the Suns to 0 points for the last 3 minutes of that quarter. Keon Ellis, Devin Carter together defensively was very fun. There was a play where Keon Ellis was like doing the starfish in the air to try to disrupt a pass, and the pass got through him, but then Devin Carter was there to deflect it out of bounds. And then on the inbound play, Devin Carter just steals the pass and goes the other way for an easy dunk. They forced a 24-second violation. Offensively, they were playing through Valanciunas again. He hit a post fade, Suns had to send numbers at him. He hit Keon Ellis for a nice cut. So I was just loving that unit and the defensive intensity they had. That was exactly what we needed to see. And even at the very end of the quarter, Devin Carter drew a loose ball foul with 0.2 seconds left. If there had been 0.3 seconds, we would have gotten a 3 out of that because Doug McDermott hit a 3, and it would have counted if there was 0.1 more seconds on the clock. But by that point, we knew that the Mavericks were going to lose. So there's no point in playing the starters anymore. So Markelle Fultz is in, Doug McDermott's out there shooting threes. Devin Carter's getting those important minutes trying to figure out how to run an offense, how to run the pick and roll, how to use Valanciunas. And, he couldn't quite figure it out in this game. And then you see Markelle Fultz out there a little later, and he uses the Valanciunas screen to perfection, just being patient, letting Valanciunas screen his man. Then Valanciunas dives to the rim, seals off the big man inside, and Markelle Fultz gets inside for an easy layup. So you kind of see how Markelle Fultz is able to operate that, and that's what you're hoping Devin Carter can get to. We saw Terrence Davis, we saw Isaac Jones, Terrence Davis getting his first NBA minutes in a very long time. And we got to see Mason Plumlee airball a mid-ranger. Also, Mason Plumlee, I think it was in the first quarter, it was sometime in the first half. He took a 3. He took a 3 when there was still time on the clock. I was just like, what is happening? And he airballed that. So he airballed 2 jump shots. I was like, wow, the Suns really don't care about this game. Plumlee's shooting a 3. That was his 4th 3-point attempt all season. He's 0 for 4. But yeah, the Kings were able to get the job done. For me, I was just loving watching the Devin Carter minutes. He played 23 minutes. Wasn't perfect by any means, especially offensively. Went 2 for 7 from the field and only had the 1 assist. But those minutes are so important, and he's obviously picking guys up at half court, pressuring them defensively. Him and Keon Ellis together are very fun. Sabonis dominating, another double-double, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 4 for 4 from 3. Zach LaVine went 4 for 6 from 3 for 16 points. Keon had 2 blocks and a steal with 9 points. And then off the bench, you have Valanciunas, 22 points, 10 rebounds in only 21 minutes, 10 for 11 from the field. And Trey Lyles chipped in too with 11. And so while it was a little frustrating at times watching this game, watching the Kings not being able to defend a team without Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, it was fun watching Devin Carter, watching Jonas Valanciunas, watching Sabonis hit all his threes. And now this team can focus on the play-in game at home on Wednesday against the Mavericks. Like I said, I'll be making a separate preview of that game. It should come out fairly soon after this because, we already knew we were playing the Mavs, so I already have that ready. That's a wrap for the regular season. Kings end 40-42. Obviously, it didn't meet expectations. If you showed me this roster at the start of the season, I would have been extremely confused. But then you can also step back and say, hey, 3 straight seasons of 40-plus wins after the Kings just hadn't won 40 games in a season in a very long time. It still had its fun moments and hopefully more to come in the play-in. But yeah, that is it for this episode of the Roll Report. I'll be back very soon for that preview of the play-in game against the Mavericks. So I'll see you guys then. Peace.